The light of 3 moons filtered through the thin fabric covering the windows of Lisa Walton's small apartment. The young woman sat alone at her desk, reviewing the strange symbols on her tablet. She had been studying the alien language for months, now ever since the Xenarians had made first contact. Her fingers traced over the curved shapes as she mouthed the words, struggling with the clicks and hums that made up the alien speech. Lisa was one of 50 humans selected for the first cultural exchange program with the aliens. Her background in linguistics and anthropology had made her an ideal candidate, though she often wondered if she was truly ready for what awaited her beyond Earth. The Xenarians were an all-female species at least. That was how humans understood them. They reproduced asexually and had evolved without the concept of gender. Their society was built around knowledge and exploration, which had eventually led them to Earth. A soft chime from her communication device broke Lisa's concentration. The transport ship would arrive tomorrow. She would be leaving everything she knew behind for at least 2 years. Her heart raced with both excitement and fear. The next morning, Lisa stood at the launch pad with her single, a loud bag of personal items. The other exchange participants gathered nearby, some chatting nervously, others standing in silent contemplation. Lisa recognized a few faces from the training sessions, but had kept mostly to herself. During preparation, she had focused entirely on learning the language, believing it would be her best tool for understanding this new culture. The Xenarian ship descended from the clouds like a giant silver teardrop gleaming in the morning sun. It made almost no sound. As it landed, the only evidence of its powerful technology being the slight shimmer in the air around it. A seam appeared in its smooth surface, widening into a doorway. A ramp extended to the ground. 3 Xenarians emerged, each standing nearly 7 feet tall. Their skin was a pale lavender color with faint patterns that seemed to shift with their movements. Instead of hair, they had crest-like structures that changed colors according to their emotions, or so Lisa had been told. Their 4-fingered hands were long and elegant, their movements fluid and precise. They wore simple white garments that flowed around their tall frames. The lead Xenarian raised her hand in greeting. Her crest glowed a soft blue. Lisa remembered her training. Blue meant, "Welcome and openness, greetings, humans of Earth. I am Elder Kira, head of the Cultural Exchange Initiative. We welcome you to this historic journey. Our worlds have much to learn from each other." Lisa was impressed by the Elder's perfect English, though. The rhythm was slightly off, giving the words a musical quality. The humans were led into the ship through corridors of the same seamless silver material. The interior was surprisingly warm and comfortable with curved walls and soft lighting. The humans were shown to their quarters, individual rooms that adapted to their preferences as they entered. Lisa watched in amazement as the plain white walls of her room shifted to a soft green, her favorite color. A small garden of unfamiliar plants appeared in one corner, providing a touch of nature. Elder Kira's voice came through an unseen speaker. "Welcome, Lisa Walton. The room will continue to adjust to your preferences over time. Please rest. The journey to our homeworld will take 14 Earth days. We will begin orientation tomorrow." Lisa sat on the bed, which molded perfectly to her body. She placed her hand on the wall, feeling a slight vibration. The entire ship seemed alive, somehow responding to its inhabitants. She unpacked her few belongings, placing a photo of her parents on a shelf that appeared as she approached. The reality of her situation was finally sinking in. She was leaving Earth, traveling to an alien world. She would be among the first humans to live among the Xenarians, to learn their ways and share human culture. Sleep came surprisingly easily, the room somehow knowing exactly what temperature and lighting Lisa preferred. The next morning, she found clothing provided for her similar to what the Xenarians wore but adapted for human physiology. The fabric was unlike anything she had ever felt, lighter than silk, but somehow substantial. The humans gathered in a large circular chamber. The walls displayed moving images of the Xenarian homeworld. Vast cities of crystal and silver structures rose from lush purple landscapes. Vehicles moved through the air in organized patterns. Multiple moons hung in a sky of deep turquoise. Elder Kira stood in the center of the room, flanked by 2 other Xenarians. Their crests glowed with various colors as they communicated silently among themselves. "Humans of Earth, Today begins your preparation. She spoke, her voice carrying easily throughout the chamber. We will teach you about our world, our customs, our history. You will learn to navigate our society without causing or taking offense. You have already begun to learn our language, which will serve you well. Lisa paid careful attention as the Zenarians explained their social structure. They had no governments, as humans understood them. Instead, they organized around fields of knowledge with the most experienced and knowledgeable individuals guiding others. Elder was a title of respect, not authority. Decisions were made through consensus with specialized knowledge given appropriate weight. The humans would each be paired with a Zenarian host family that shared their field of interest. Lisa would be staying with a family of linguists who studied the evolution of communication across different species. They were particularly interested in how human languages reflected and shaped human thinking. After the orientation, Lisa found herself approached by one of the other Zenarians. Her crest glowed a curious purple. I am Sena. I will be your primary host. Her English was not as polished as Elder Kira's, but still impressive. Your interest in language is most fascinating to us. Human communication is so physical, so dependent on sound and visual cues. Our people communicate partially through electromagnetic fields, something your species cannot detect without technology. Lisa smiled. It's an honor to meet you. Sena, I have so many questions about how your language evolved. Sena's crest shifted to a pleased blue color. Questions are the beginning of understanding. We will have much time for them. Over the following days, Lisa spent hours with Sena learning about Zenarian culture. Their society valued knowledge above all else, with individuals free to pursue any area of study that interested them. There was no concept of ownership as humans understood it. Resources were allocated based on need and contribution. The idea of hoarding wealth or power was completely foreign to them. Lisa also learned more about their biology. Zenarians lived much longer than humans, often reaching 300 Earth years. They reproduced only when they chose to, creating offspring that contained their genetic material but with natural variations. They formed family bonds based on shared interests rather than genetic relationships as the ship journeyed through space. Lisa found herself growing comfortable in this new environment. The other humans often expressed frustration with various aspects of Zenarian customs, but Lisa embraced the differences. She began to understand the subtle crest colors and patterns, recognizing emotions and intents that weren't expressed verbally. On the 12th day of the journey, Sena invited Lisa to a special ceremony. We are approaching the outer boundaries of our star system. It is tradition to honor the journey and those who travel with us. Lisa followed Sena to a chamber she hadn't seen before. The entire ceiling was transparent, showing the star field above. A group of Zenarians stood in a circle, their crests glowing in synchronized patterns, creating a beautiful light display. Lisa stood quietly watching as the aliens performed what seemed to be a ritual dance. Their movements were graceful and purposeful. Sena motioned for Lisa to join the circle. The human hesitated, then stepped forward, trying to follow the movements. The Zenarians adjusted their positions, making space for her. Their crests glowed encouragingly. You honor us with your participation, Sena said. You learn quickly. Lisa Walton, as Lisa moved with the aliens. She felt a strange connection, a harmony she couldn't explain. She was light years from Earth among beings, so different from herself. Yet in this moment, she felt a profound sense of belonging. The stars above seemed to respond to the dance, glowing more brightly. The journey was just beginning, but Lisa already knew she would never see the universe the same way again. The Zenarian homeworld appeared first as a blue-green sphere against the black of space, growing larger as the ship approached. Lisa pressed her hands against the viewing panel, her breath catching at the sight. Multiple rings circled the planet, shimmering with captured light from the system's twin suns. Massive structures were visible even from orbit, silver spires reaching up as if to touch the stars themselves. Elder Kira gathered the humans for final preparations. Before landing, our atmosphere is compatible with your biology but slightly richer in oxygen. You may experience a feeling of euphoria at first until your bodies adjust. The gravity is 90% of Earth standard, which will make you feel somewhat lighter. Our day is 27 of your hours. Our year is 416 of our days. Lisa listened carefully, committing the details to memory, while the other humans murmured among themselves. She had been practicing Zenarian speech patterns daily, her tongue now able to form the complex sounds with reasonable accuracy. She hoped it would help her integrate more quickly. The ship descended through the atmosphere with barely a tremor. Landing was so gentle that Lisa only knew they had touched down when the viewing panel showed they were inside a vast docking structure. The seamless walls of the ship parted, creating an exit. Sienna appeared at Lisa's side, her crest, a welcoming blue. "Come, friend. Your new home awaits." Lisa followed, carrying her single bag. The air that greeted her was sweet and rich, filling her lungs with an almost intoxicating sensation. Colors seemed brighter, sounds clearer. Her body felt strangely buoyant, as if she might float away with each step. The other humans were experiencing the same effects, some laughing with delight, others moving cautiously, testing their new lightness. A group of Zenarians waited beyond the docking area, their crests displaying a rainbow of colors as they communicated among themselves. One stepped forward, approaching Lisa. Her crest shifted to a pattern of blue and gold. "I am Vela, linguist and historian. Welcome to our home." Lisa Walton of Earth Lisa attempted the traditional Zenarian greeting, inclining her head while touching her right hand to her left shoulder. "I am honored by your welcome, Vela of Zenaria. My gratitude for accepting me into your home." The alien's crest brightened with pleasure at Lisa's use of her language. "Your pronunciation is impressive for one with such different vocal structures. You will learn quickly." I think Lisa was escorted to a transport vehicle, a sleek oval pod that hovered above the ground. Without visible controls, it moved smoothly through the cityscape. Zenarian architecture was unlike anything. On Earth, buildings flowed into one another in organic shapes with no sharp angles or straight lines. Vegetation was integrated throughout, with gardens and parks blending seamlessly with living spaces. Vela's home was located in what Lisa learned was the knowledge district where linguists, historians, scientists, and artists lived and worked. The building rose in a gentle spiral, its exterior changing colors with the movement of the suns. The interior was open and airy with few walls. Lisa was shown to her space, a circular room with views of the city and automated systems that responded to her preferences. The first weeks on the Zenarian homeworld passed in a blur of new experiences. Lisa spent mornings studying with Vela, learning the nuances of the Zenarian language and helping her host understand the complexities of human communication. Afternoons were often spent exploring the city, observing the aliens in their daily routines. Evenings brought cultural exchanges where humans shared music, art, and stories from Earth, while the Zenarians demonstrated their own creative expressions. Lisa discovered that despite their advanced technology, the Zenarians placed enormous value on personal connection. They touched, often using a form of skin contact to communicate emotions directly, something humans couldn't fully experience. They were fascinated by human handshakes, hugs, and other physical greetings, attempting to understand the significance behind these rituals. Vela proved to be a patient teacher and eager student. She was particularly interested in human idioms and metaphors, concepts that often had no direct translation in Zenarian. "You say time flies when having fun," Vela said one day, her crest showing confusion. "Patterns, but time is constant." "How can it fly?" Lisa smiled, trying to explain the subjective experience of time passing quickly during enjoyable activities. Vela listened, her crest shifting through colors of concentration. "This connects to our concept of temporal perception variance," she said finally. "Though we would never describe it with such vivid imagery, your species thinks in pictures, even with abstract concepts." Most fascinating. As Lisa grew more comfortable with the language, she began to notice subtleties in Zenarian society that weren't immediately obvious. While they claimed to have no hierarchy, she observed that some voices carried more weight than others, particularly the oldest Zenarians. When she asked Vela about this, her host seemed surprised by the observation. "Experience brings wisdom. Wisdom brings respect," she explained. "It is not authority as you understand it. No Zenarian can command another, but we recognize that some have walked longer paths and seen more of life's patterns. 3 months into her stay, Lisa was invited to observe a reproductive ceremony, a rare honor for an outsider. The Xenarian who had chosen to create offspring allowed Lisa to witness as she entered a meditative state that lasted several days. During this time, her body underwent remarkable changes, eventually producing a small Xenarian child fully formed, though smaller than an adult. The child was immediately conscious, aware, and able to communicate, though at a basic level. The child takes some knowledge from the parent, Vela explained, but much is new, unique. The combination creates our diversity, while maintaining our unity. Lisa found the process beautiful and strange all at once, so different from human reproduction, yet serving the same purpose of continuing the species. She wrote detailed notes in her journal as she did every night, recording her observations and insights. The humans in the exchange program met weekly, sharing experiences and supporting one another. Many struggled with homesickness or cultural misunderstandings. Some found the Xenarian lifestyle too alien, too perfect in some ways. Lisa, however, thrived. She enjoyed the intellectual stimulation, the constant learning and exchange of ideas. She had always felt somewhat out of place on Earth, too curious, too questioning. Here her desire to understand was celebrated. One day in her 6th month on Xenaria, Lisa was invited to attend a council of elders. The highest gathering of experienced Xenarians rarely included outsiders. Vela explained that they wished to hear Lisa's perspective on human communication patterns and how they might improve their own interactions with Earth. The council chamber was a vast circular space with seating arranged in concentric rings. Hundreds of Xenarians were present, their crests creating a living light display as they communicated. Lisa felt small among them, the only human in a sea of tall lavender beings. Elder Kira acknowledged her with a respectful inclination of her head. Lisa was asked to speak on human diplomatic communication. She stood explaining how humans often said one thing while meaning another, how body language and tone could contradict spoken words, and how historical and cultural contexts shaped understanding. The elders listened attentively, their crests displaying colors of deep concentration. After she finished, one elder, whose crest showed patterns Lisa had never seen before, asked, "Your species uses deception in communication. How do you build trust when words may not represent truth?" Lisa considered the question. "This is why relationships matter," she explained. "Words gain meaning through consistent actions over time. We learn who can be trusted by observing patterns of behavior, not just listening to statements." The chamber filled with the soft humming sound of Xenarians communicating among themselves. Lisa waited patiently, knowing they were processing her words through their own cultural framework. Eventually, Elder Kira spoke. "This explains much about our misunderstandings with your leaders. We have taken all words as direct truth. This is valuable insight. Lisa Walton of Earth. You have given us new perspective." The meeting continued for hours, with Lisa answering questions, and sometimes asking her own. By the end, she felt mentally exhausted but deeply satisfied. She had bridged a gap in understanding that might have significant implications for human-Xenarian relations. That evening, as Lisa sat in the garden outside Vela's home watching the twin suns set in spectacular fashion, she reflected on how far she had come. She had feared the unknown when leaving Earth, but had found a second home among the stars. The Xenarians were different from humans in countless ways, yet she had discovered universal constants. The desire to learn, to connect, to understand life took different forms, but shared fundamental patterns. Vela joined her, the Xenarian's crest, glowing a contemplative purple. "Your thoughts travel far." Tonight, friend, Lisa smiled, looking up at her host. "You Xenarians always know what others are feeling. That is our gift," Vela replied. "As your gift is adapting, finding connection, even across the void between worlds." As darkness fell, the bioluminescent plants of the garden began to glow, creating a magical landscape of soft light. The stars appeared brighter here than on Earth, Lisa thought, or perhaps she simply looked at them differently now, knowing they held worlds of possibility. The first year of Lisa's stay on Xenaria passed quickly. Her fluency in the alien language grew until she could understand not just the words, but the subtle crest patterns and electromagnetic communications that accompanied them. The other humans in the exchange program often sought her help with translations and cultural misunderstandings. She had become a bridge between species. On the anniversary of their arrival, the humans were invited to a celebration in the grand gathering place, a massive amphitheater under the open sky. Elder Kira addressed the assembly, her crest glowing with formal patterns. "One cycle has completed since our worlds began this exchange," she said. "Our understanding grows, but there is still much to learn today. We honor the courage of these humans who left their world to live among us. And we ask what they have learned, what insights they wish to share." Each human was invited to speak briefly. Lisa listened as her colleagues described their experiences. Some spoke of technological marvels, others of social customs. A botanist enthused about Xenarian plant life that responded to emotional states. A musician described the challenges of teaching human music to beings who could hear frequencies beyond human range. When Lisa's turn came, she approached the center of the gathering. She had prepared carefully, knowing the importance of this moment. "I came to Xenaria as a linguist, seeking to understand your words," she began. "But I have learned that true communication goes beyond language. It lives in shared experiences and the willingness to see through another's eyes. Your world has taught me that understanding requires more than translation. It requires transformation." She continued, explaining how her time on Xenaria had changed her perspective not just of the aliens but of humanity itself. The Xenarians listened, their crests displaying colors of deep attention. When she finished, the assembly hummed with approval. That evening, as Lisa sat with Vela in their shared living space, the Xenarian approached with unusual hesitancy, her crest showing patterns Lisa recognized as uncertainty. "Lisa Walton." "I must share something important," Vela said. "The Council of Elders has been impressed by your integration into our society. They believe you are ready to learn more about our purpose in contacting Earth." Lisa felt a flutter of excitement and apprehension. "What do you mean?" Vela's crest shifted to serious patterns. "The stars are not as empty as humans once believed. There are many species, many civilizations, some ancient beyond comprehension, some dangerous. We Xenarians are part of what you might call an alliance, a collection of peaceful species who share knowledge and protection." Lisa processed this information. "You're saying there are threats out there, other aliens who aren't peaceful?" Vela confirmed this. "Our first contact with Earth was not random. We have been observing humanity for generations. Your species has great potential but also concerning tendencies toward conflict and environmental damage. We came when we did, because others had also noticed your world, others who do not share our philosophical approach to emerging species." The revelation stunned Lisa. "You're protecting us, in a manner of speaking," Vela replied. "But protection is not enough. Your species must grow ready to join the greater community. And some among us believe humans are not yet prepared. The exchange program was created to assess your adaptability, your capacity for change." Lisa understood the implications now. She and the other humans were being evaluated, not just as individuals but as representatives of their entire species. Their success or failure could determine humanity's future among the stars. "Is that why I was invited to the council meeting?" she asked. "To judge how humans think." Vela's crest showed affirmation patterns. "Partly," she admitted. "But your insights were genuinely valuable. You showed a capacity for metacognition, for seeing your own species objectively. That is rare and precious." Over the following weeks, Lisa learned more about the galactic situation. The alliance Vela spoke of included 12 known species across hundreds of star systems, united by shared values of knowledge exploration and peaceful coexistence. Opposing them were several aggressive expansionist civilizations who viewed emerging species as resources to be exploited or controlled. Earth sat at the edge of alliance space, potentially vulnerable. Lisa was introduced, to representatives from other Alliance species who occasionally visited Zenaria, a delegation of Meraxians insectoid beings with remarkable mathematical abilities, a single Thuldarian, a gaseous entity that communicated through modulated light patterns. Each encounter expanded Lisa's understanding of the universe and humanity's small place within it. The existence of these other species was still hidden from most humans. Only the highest levels of Earth governments had been informed, and even they knew only portions of the truth. The Zenarians believed humanity needed time to adjust gradually to cosmic reality. 9 months into her second year on Zenaria, Lisa was awakened in the night by urgent signals. The lighting in her room pulsed with alert patterns. She found Vela waiting, her crest showing stress colors. "You must come quickly," the Zenarian said. "The council has called an emergency session. All human representatives are requested." Lisa dressed quickly and followed Vela to a transport. The night sky seemed different somehow, with unusual patterns of light visible among the stars. The grand gathering place was filled with Zenarians, their crests creating waves of anxious colors. Elder Kira stood at the center, her usually composed demeanor replaced with visible tension. "Friends," she addressed the assembly. "We have received warning from our outpost near your solar system. A draconian scout vessel has been detected approaching." Earth. A murmur went through the human contingent. Lisa had heard of the draconians from Vela's previous explanations, a highly advanced predatory species who believed it was their right to claim any world they could conquer. "The draconians do not yet know of our protection agreement with Earth, Elder," Kira continued. "They are testing, sending a single ship to assess your defenses and technologies. Our outpost remains undetected, but we must decide quickly how to respond." One Zenarian elder moved forward, her crest displaying aggressive patterns. "We should destroy the scout ship before it reaches Earth. Protect the humans as we promised." Another disagreed. "That would reveal our presence to the draconians. It could trigger a larger conflict. We are peacekeepers, not warriors." The debate continued, with various factions arguing different approaches. Lisa listened, trying to understand the complex political and ethical considerations at play. Finally, Elder Kira turned to the humans. "This concerns your world, your people. We value your perspective." The human representatives looked at each other uncertainly. Most lacked the context to fully understand the situation. Lisa realized. She stepped forward. "If this scout ship reaches Earth, what will happen?" she asked. Elder Kira's crest showed grim patterns. "They will analyze your defenses, your technology, your biological makeup. They will determine if Earth is worth conquering or if humans might serve other purposes. They have been known to enslave species they consider useful. How much time do we have?" Lisa continued. 3 of your Earth days before the scout enters your solar system. 12 days before it reaches Earth. Orbit. Lisa considered this information. "If we warn our governments, could Earth's military stop this ship?" Several Zenarian elders displayed colors of negative response. "Your most advanced weapons would be ineffective against draconian shields, and such an attempt would only confirm to them that Earth is a threat to be eliminated." Lisa took a deep breath, feeling the weight of the situation. "Then I suggest a third option. We know the draconians value strength and consider diplomacy a weakness. What if we approached them openly, not as Zenarians protecting humans, but as the Alliance welcoming Earth as a new member?" The assembly hummed with surprise. Elder Kira's crest showed thoughtful patterns. Elaborate. Lisa Walton. "The draconians avoid direct conflict with Alliance worlds." Lisa explained. "If they believe Earth has already been accepted into your alliance, they might withdraw, rather than risk war. But this would mean revealing the existence of aliens to all of humanity much sooner than planned." The Zenarians debated among themselves, their crests flickering with rapid communication patterns. Lisa waited, watching the colors shift and change. Finally, Elder Kira addressed her. "Your suggestion has merit. It would require careful implementation. Human governments would need to be fully informed. They would need to present a united front when the Alliance ships appear in your skies. Are you certain your species is ready for such a revelation?" Lisa looked at the other human representatives, seeing her own uncertainty reflected in their expressions. "No," she admitted. "Honestly, I'm not certain, but I believe it's better than the alternatives. Either hiding the truth while aliens scout our world or starting a conflict that could lead to war." After hours of discussion, a plan took shape. Alliance ships would be dispatched to Earth with representatives from multiple species, including the humans from the exchange program. They would make contact with Earth's major governments, revealing the galactic situation and offering formal protection. The show of force and unity might deter the Draconians while giving humanity the truth they deserved to know as dawn broke over the Xenarian capital. Lisa stood with Vela watching the twin suns rise. Her mind raced with implications. Everything would change for humanity. The knowledge that they were not alone in the universe, that there were both friends and enemies among the stars, would transform human society forever. The journey back to Earth took only 4 days. The Alliance vessels moving at speeds that defied human understanding. Lisa spent the time in preparation meeting with Xenarian diplomats and representatives from other Alliance species, learning protocols and strategies for the coming revelation. The Alliance had decided that humans from the exchange program would make first contact with their own governments, providing a bridge between worlds. Lisa was assigned to the North American diplomatic team, alongside 2 other exchange participants, Catherine Morgan, a physicist, and Alan Wright, an environmental scientist. They would be accompanied by Elder Kira and Vela, representing the Xenarians, and Thaz, a Moraxian mathematician whose species had been part of the Alliance for centuries. As the ship approached Earth, Lisa felt a strange mixture of emotions. The blue and green planet looked both familiar and somehow different, smaller, more fragile than she remembered. Yet it was home, filled with people who had no idea how their world was about to change. Elder Kira gathered the human representatives for final instructions. The Alliance fleet will remain in high orbit, mostly invisible to Earth detection systems, she explained. Only diplomatic shuttles will descend. We wish to minimize panic. Your task is to facilitate understanding, not fear. Lisa nodded, understanding the delicate balance they needed to strike. You said mostly invisible to detection. What will be visible? Kira's crest showed patterns of controlled revelation. We will allow one ship to be partially detected by your astronomical instruments. A hint, not a threat. Just enough to prepare your leaders for our arrival. The diplomatic teams separated, each boarding shuttles bound for different regions: Beijing, Delhi, Moscow, London, Washington. Each carried the same message: Earth was not alone in the universe, and decisions made in the coming days would determine humanity's place among the stars. Lisa's shuttle approached Washington, under cover of night, its advanced technology rendering it invisible to radar and satellite surveillance. The craft landed on the secure grounds of a government facility, where high-ranking officials had been summoned for what they believed was a national security emergency. The human representatives exited first. Lisa, Catherine, and Alan stood on Earth soil for the first time in 2 years, the slightly stronger gravity making them feel heavy and awkward. They wore standard Earth clothing, provided by the ship, looking outwardly normal, despite all they had experienced. A group of military and government officials waited inside the facility, their faces showing confusion at the sight of the returned exchange participants. A woman stepped forward, identifying herself as Secretary of Defense Eleanor Martinez. We were told this was a first contact situation, she said, her voice tight with controlled tension. Who exactly are we making contact with? Lisa took a deep breath. We've been living among them, learning from them for 2 years. Madam Secretary, they're called the Xenarians, and they're part of a larger alliance of peaceful species, but they're not the only ones out there. And Earth is in danger. She gestured toward the shuttle door, which opened to reveal Elder Kira, Vela, and Thaz. The officials reacted with shock, several security personnel reaching for weapons that would be useless against Alliance technology. Please, Lisa said quickly, raising her hands. They come in peace. They've been protecting Earth for generations. The next hours passed in a blur of explanations, questions, and barely contained panic. The officials were shown evidence of the approaching Draconian scout ship of the larger galactic community of the exchange program that had been hidden from all but a few government officials. Lisa translated when necessary. Though Elder Kira spoke perfect English, "I understand this is overwhelming," Secretary Martinez said finally. "But you're telling me we need to announce the existence of aliens to the world in less than 48 hours. Elder Kira's crest glowed with sympathetic patterns. "It is not ideal. We had hoped for a more gradual revelation, but the Draconian Scout changes everything. If they believe Earth stands alone, they will mark you for conquest. If they believe you are under Alliance protection, they will likely withdraw." Similar conversations were happening in capitals around the world, each diplomatic team conveying the same information, the same choices. An emergency United Nations session was called with Alliance representatives attending via secure communications. Earth's leaders, unified by the common threat, agreed to a coordinated global announcement. Lisa worked through the night, helping draft statements, translate Alliance documents, and prepare visual materials. She barely had time to call her parents, giving them a carefully worded warning about the coming announcement, asking them to trust her and stay calm. The following day dawned bright and clear. A day that would divide human history into before and after. A joint broadcast was scheduled across all media platforms worldwide. At precisely noon Eastern Standard Time, the leaders of Earth's major nations appeared, together in an unprecedented display of unity. The President of the United States spoke first. "Citizens of Earth, today we share news that will forever change our understanding of our place in the universe. We are not alone." The announcement continued, with brief statements from world leaders followed by carefully selected footage of Alliance representatives. The public was told about the exchange program, about the Alliance, about the approaching Draconian Scout. Global panic was a serious concern, but the Alliance had helped craft messages that emphasized hope over fear, protection over threat. Lisa watched from a secure facility as the world learned the truth. Images of Xenarians, Moraxians, and other Alliance species appeared on screens worldwide. Social media exploded with reactions ranging from terror to excitement to disbelief. Religious leaders issued statements. Scientific communities held emergency sessions. Ordinary people gathered in homes and public spaces trying to process the revelation. Evening, massive crowds had formed in cities around the world. Many carried signs welcoming the aliens. Others protested, demanding more information or expressing fear. Scattered reports of violence emerged, but were quickly contained. The human capacity for adaptation was being tested on an unprecedented scale. Secretary Martinez approached Lisa as they monitored the global response. "Your alien friends were right about one thing," she said. "This changes everything." "How long have you known?" Lisa considered the question. "Since my second year on Xenaria. When they decided I could be trusted. The exchange program was always about more than cultural understanding. It was about evaluating whether humans were ready to join the wider community. And are we?" Martinez asked, her voice tinged with doubt. Lisa looked at the screen showing Earth's varied reactions. "I believe we can be," she said. "We adapt, we learn, we grow. It's what makes us human. But we need time. We may not have." Martinez replied. "The Alliance has moved ships into position around Earth, visible now to our own satellites. The world is watching. This Draconian Scout will arrive tomorrow." "What happens then?" The following morning, Alliance representatives were brought to a secure military installation. The Draconian Scout ship had been detected entering the solar system, moving at high speed toward Earth. Alliance vessels maintained their positions in Earth orbit, visible now as points of light in the sky. Elder Kira addressed the assembled human officials. "This scout will test your defenses, scan your planet for resources, technology, and biological data. We must show unified resistance, or they will mark Earth for future conquest." The plan was explained in detail. Alliance ships would intercept the Draconian Scout before it reached Earth. Orbit. A formal warning would be issued declaring Earth under Alliance protection. If the Draconians ignored the warning, defensive measures would be taken. Lisa and the other exchange participants were asked to participate in a broadcast to the approaching scout. Their faces and voices would show that humans were working with the Alliance willingly. A message of strength through cooperation. As they prepared, Lisa felt the weight of responsibility. Her actions would help determine the course of human history. For better or worse, she had become part of humanity's first steps into a larger universe. The Broadcast Center was established communication systems aligned with Alliance technology. Lisa sat before the camera alongside representatives from other Earth nations. Each wore a small translator device provided by the Zenarians, allowing them to understand and respond to any draconian communication. The scout ship entered lunar orbit, its dark angular form a stark contrast to the smooth lines of Alliance vessels. Visual contact was established. The aliens that appeared on the screen were unlike any Lisa had seen before. Reptilian with armored skin and eyes that glowed with a predatory intelligence. Their language came through the translators as harsh and guttural. "This world is claimed for assessment by the Draconian Imperium," the alien commander stated. "Stand aside." Elder Kira responded, her crest displaying formal diplomatic patterns. "Earth is under the protection of the Alliance by mutual agreement. Any hostile action will be considered an act of war against all Alliance species." The Draconian commander's eyes narrowed, scanning the human representatives visible in the transmission. "Humans do not possess technology to communicate with our vessels. They are primitive, unaligned. This is deception." Lisa stepped forward, speaking clearly. "The Alliance has shared technology and knowledge with us. We choose to align with them, not with conquerors. We speak for Earth." 1 year after the revelation, Earth had transformed in ways few could have predicted. Alliance technology, carefully introduced, had begun to solve humanity's most pressing problems. Clean energy systems, reduced pollution, and climate change. Medical advancements cured diseases once thought. Terminal food production methods eliminated hunger in formerly impoverished regions. Nations that had once been enemies found common purpose in preparing for humanity's future. Among the stars, Lisa stood on the observation deck of the newly constructed Planetary Cooperation Center in Geneva, watching representatives from Earth and various Alliance species move through the grand hall below. The massive building, constructed with both human and alien design elements, symbolized the new era of collaboration. Its transparent dome allowed views of the sky where Alliance ships could occasionally be seen moving in protective patterns. Vela approached her crest, glowing with pleased patterns. "You appear contemplative, my friend." Lisa smiled at the Zenarian who had remained on Earth as chief diplomatic liaison. "You know me too well. I was thinking about how much has changed so quickly. Sometimes it seems like a dream." Vela's crest shifted to understanding. "Patterns change, comes in waves, some fast, some slow. Your species has adapted remarkably well considering the circumstances." It was true. While there had been resistance, conspiracy theories, and even some violence, the majority of humans had embraced the new reality. The presence of aliens had unified humanity in unexpected ways. Old conflicts seemed petty in the face of cosmic perspective. Religious institutions had adapted, incorporating the existence of alien life into their theologies. Scientists worked alongside Alliance experts, learning and contributing in equal measure. Of course, challenges remained. The Draconians had withdrawn their scout, but intelligence suggested they were merely regrouping, planning their next move. Alliance military advisors worked with Earth Defense Forces, developing protective technologies and strategies. Economic systems struggled to adapt to the introduction of advanced alien technologies. Cultural exchanges sometimes led to misunderstandings and conflicts. Lisa had become central to these transition efforts. Her unique position as someone who had lived among the Zenarians gave her insights few others possessed. She divided her time between diplomatic work, cultural integration programs, and public education initiatives. "Madam Walton, your presence is requested in Chamber 3. An assistant informed her, approaching with respectful body language. "The Galactic Council representatives have arrived." Lisa nodded, straightening her formal attire. Today marked an important milestone. The Galactic Council, the governing body of the Alliance, had sent representatives to evaluate Earth's petition for full membership. The decision would determine humanity's future status and protections. Vela accompanied her. As they made their way through the building, Alliance architecture merged seamlessly with human design elements, creating spaces that felt both familiar and exotic. water features incorporated, gravity, defying flows suspended in midair. Lighting responded to the emotional states of those nearby plants from a dozen worlds grew in harmony, creating living art. The council chamber was arranged in circular tiers, representatives from Alliance worlds seated according to their unique physiological needs. The Xenarians with their tall forms occupied specially designed standing platforms. The gelatinous Quarians rested in shallow pools of nutrient-rich liquid. The crystalline Vox who communicated through light patterns hovered in anti-gravity fields. Lisa took her place among the human delegation, led by United Nations Secretary General Amara Okafor. The proceedings began with formal introductions, each species presenting their representatives according to their traditions. When the humans' turn came, Secretary General Okafor stepped forward. On behalf of Earth and all humanity, we welcome the Galactic Council. We stand before you as the youngest species seeking membership in the Alliance. We recognize we have much to learn, but we believe we also have much to offer. The council representatives responded with their own greetings. The Xenarian counselor, Tela, crest displaying formal diplomatic patterns, spoke for the group. Earth has undergone remarkable transformation in a short time. Your species has demonstrated exceptional adaptability, creativity, and resilience, qualities valued by the Alliance. However, concerns remain about humanity's history of conflict, environmental damage, and social division. We must evaluate whether these tendencies can be overcome. For the next several hours, council representatives questioned the human delegation. Topics ranged from environmental restoration plans to weapons development policies, from educational reforms to resource allocation strategies. Lisa was called upon frequently to provide context and clarification, acting as a cultural interpreter between humanity and the Alliance. During a brief recess, Lisa found herself approached by a Maraxian counselor. The insectoid beings' compound eyes reflected the chamber lights in rainbow patterns. You lived among the Xenarians longer than any human. The Maraxian said, its translator converting the series of clicks and chirps into English. What did you learn about yourself about humanity? Lisa considered the question carefully. I learned that our greatest strength is not our technology or our intelligence, but our diversity of thought, our ability to see problems from multiple perspectives to adapt to change. We question everything, even ourselves, that can lead to conflict. Yes, but also to growth. The Maraxian's antennae quivered. Interesting. Most species see uniformity as strength. Perhaps that's what we can offer. The Alliance, Lisa suggested. A different perspective. When the session resumed, the questioning grew more pointed. Addressing humanity's ongoing conflicts and divisions, Secretary General Okafor responded with honesty. We do not claim to have solved all our problems, she acknowledged. We still struggle with prejudice, with greed, with fear. But exposure to the wider universe has given us context. We see ourselves now as one people, one world, among many. The petty divisions that once seemed so important fade when viewed against the backdrop of stars. The Vox counselor flashed patterns of light that the translators interpreted. We have reviewed your species' artistic and cultural productions. They show remarkable imagination, creativity, empathy. Even your fictional portrayals of alien life, while often inaccurate, demonstrate a willingness to consider perspectives vastly different from your own. This suggests potential as the day progressed. Lisa felt cautiously optimistic. The council seemed genuinely interested in humanity's potential, not just its flaws. They recognized the progress made in the years since Revelation, the unification of purpose, the environmental restoration efforts, the reforms to governance and resource distribution. Finally, after hours of testimony and questioning, the council withdrew to deliberate. The human delegation waited tense with anticipation. Lisa found herself standing near a window looking out at Lake Geneva. The waters sparkled in the afternoon sun, so ordinary, so Earth-like. Yet the world it reflected had forever changed. Vela joined her, the Xenarian's presence comforting in its familiarity. No matter the council's decision, she said, your world will not stand alone. The Xenarians at least will maintain our protection agreement. Lisa nodded, grateful. It's not just protection. We seek, though, its belonging. Purpose. A place in something larger than ourselves. Vela's crest glowed with understanding. That desire unites sentient beings across the galaxy. The need for connection, for meaning. The council returned sooner than expected. The chamber fell silent as the representatives took their places. The Xenarian counselor Tella stepped forward to deliver their decision. The council has considered Earth's petition for alliance membership. She began. Her crest displayed formal neutral, patterns giving no hint of the decision. We have reviewed your history, your present condition, your potential futures. We have debated extensively the benefits and risks of accepting humanity into our community. Lisa held her breath, feeling the weight of the moment. This decision would affect not just her generation but all future humans. We have determined, Tella continued, that Earth will be granted probationary membership status for a period of 5 Earth years. During this time, you will receive alliance protection technology, sharing and educational exchange. You will be expected to continue reforms, address outstanding conflicts, and demonstrate continued commitment to alliance principles. At the end of this period, a final determination will be made. Relief washed through the human delegation. Probationary status was better than many had hoped for. It provided the protection Earth needed while acknowledging the work still to be done. Secretary General Okafor stepped forward to formally accept the terms as the formal proceedings concluded. Lisa found herself surrounded by well-wishers, both human and alien. Many of the exchange participants had returned to similar roles, bridging the gap between species and cultures. They shared a unique perspective, having lived as minorities on alien worlds. Later that evening, a celebration was held in the Planetary Cooperation Center's main hall. Representatives from Earth and Alliance worlds mingled, sharing food, drink, and stories. Adaptations had been made for different biological needs and cultural practices, creating an atmosphere of inclusive festivity. Lisa found a quiet moment on a balcony overlooking the lake. The stars were emerging in the darkening sky, brighter somehow than she remembered from childhood. A familiar presence joined her, Elder Kira, her crest glowing with the soft blue of friendship.